In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Moonman T1 Vintage Brass Fountain Pen. I'll go over the specs, I'll do a writing sample, and I'll tell you what I like and don't like about the pen coming up. Blake here with Blake's Broadcast. On this channel, I review fountain pens, paper, and ink, and as always, I put links in the show notes in the description below. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, it really helps out my channel. Alright, let's get on with the review. So here we have the Moonman T1 in Vintage Brass. This T1 is Moonman's first piston filler pen, and it is my first Moonman pen. I think their most popular pens are eyedroppers, very nice looking eyedroppers. I'm not a huge eyedropper person, so I never went for one, but when I saw this, I thought it was very interesting with the distressed looking brass and the clear, I'll say TWSBI-like plastic. Let's walk through the pen. So you have a cap here that's faceted, and it looks very similar to a Kaweco Sport cap. Now I don't know where my other one is, so I'm going to use this clearer one, but the design is very similar. It's not exactly the same. This part up here is a bit longer, it's a bit shorter here. This has more facets, and the facets go more the length of the cap. Up top, similar kind of finials. The Kaweco one looks nicer, there's just more relief, more depth to it. It looks nicer than this. I assume this is a Chinese character, I don't know. But depending on the light, you can kind of lose it. It's not very deeply engraved, but kind of a very similar design, definitely reminiscent of a Kaweco Sport cap. So let's take the cap off. So starting with the nib, we have a Moonman nib. I don't know who makes the nib, they might make it themselves. It has a crescent shape breather hole, and then kind of this mountain design, and then this weird circle thing, and it says Moonman and F. One thing I don't like about the design of this nib is that the peak of the mountain misses the slit of the nib, and it just, I don't know why, it just doesn't look, I don't love that. The back, we have a nice plastic feed here. The grip section and the threads are brass, as is the piston filler knob and this metal bit in here. The body is acrylic, completely see-through acrylic, very hard, kind of TWSBI-like. I don't know if it's polycarbonate, I think they just call it acrylic. But it's a piston filler, so I already have ink in here, so I'm not going to turn the knob. But you just turn the knob and the plunger goes down, and then stick the nib in the ink bottle, twist it back up, and it'll pull ink into the body. Good size ink capacity. It's an interesting pen. It kind of makes me think someone took a TWSBI and a Kaweco Sport and put the Kaweco Sport cap on the TWSBI. So in a way it reminds me of some of those earlier Hyundai Genesis cars where certain parts of it look like, oh, that was like, you know, the tail light from a Lexus and the wheel arch from a Mercedes and, you know, a door handle from a BMW or something. They took a lot of cues from other pens. Maybe that's not super fair. You know, the cap is definitely reminiscent of a Kaweco Sport. You know, is the design of this pen, this simple shape with the clear body, I mean, it's a little, maybe not fair to say that this is a TWSBI design here. As a comparison, we have a TWSBI Eco, and you can see the designs, I mean, it is very similar, but I don't know, they're both piston fillers, so you get a much bigger nib, or a noticeably bigger nib on the Moonman. TWSBI looks like it has a bigger ink capacity, more space for the ink. They're both about the same price. The Moonman is $33, and I think the Eco is now $31 or $32. Both are very nice writing pens. To show you the box, no, I don't normally do that, but I do have the box here. It says Moonman. You get a little pamphlet, which is just sort of a generic pamphlet that shows you how to fill the pen depending on the type of filler. You know, here you can see a button filler, a eyedropper, they have a vacuum filler, they have a cartridge converter, and a piston filler. So they really they make a lot of different types of filling systems. And then here comes in a plastic sleeve, and it just kind of sits down here on the back. I don't know, this just doesn't seem to be filled out, so mine is a fine. And then it also comes in extra fine, and I think this is like one of those bent nibs. Oh yeah, they call it an art nib. I don't know. Made in Shanghai, China, I guess. Okay. Let's do some measurements. 141, 142 millimeters, roughly. About 129 uncapped. Posted about 169. Very long when posted, and this has quite a bit of heft to it, so I never use this pen posted. It doesn't really make sense for me. Now, in terms of the grip section, at the thinnest point, 9.4, up at the widest point, right before the threads, at about 11. As a comparison, the Eco is a little bit thinner, 9 millimeters at the thinnest, and about 11 at the widest. So a little bit thicker grip section, I think maybe a touch more comfortable. Now let's do the weight, because this pen definitely is on the heftier side. About 55 grams. That's a very heavy pen. By comparison, the TWSBI Eco is about 22, so this is less than half the weight of the Moonman. Without the cap, it's about 27 grams. So I do find this pen very comfortable. Uncapped. Capped is not comfortable. It's way too top heavy, but it feels very nice. It has a high quality feel because of that metal in the construction. Okay, let's do this. This is the Moonman T1, and this is fine nib, and this is diamine bloody absinthe. Okay. Try fast writing. It's nice. It's a smooth writer. I think for a fine, I would say it's on the wider side. I don't know, maybe for a Chinese pen, I was thinking it would be thinner, but this seems like a Western fine to me. In terms of flexibility, not really. It's a nail. Reverse writing. It seems like I can do it pretty nicely. Yeah. Reverse writing is a go on this, but the difference in the line width is not very much at all. It's nice writing, very smooth nib, and as you can see here, you know, performance, that was me holding it at a corner, but the performance is really nice. I have no complaints. Very comfortable, smooth writer. Okay. So what are my pros and cons for the Moonman T1 Vintage Brass fountain pen? Well, I really like the combination of this vintage brass material with the clear acrylic body. It's just kind of interesting to see this distressed or faux distressed material against this, you know, very clean, sterile, clear plastic. I don't see a lot of pens that are combining materials that look like that, and I thought it was interesting. I do like that, you know, it has a nice quality feel. The plastic feels good quality, very similar to TWSBI's polycarbonate material. It feels very robust, this pen. I also like that because it's a piston filler, you get a good ink capacity. Now, in terms of cons, the cap really does look like a Kaweco sport cap, and I don't love that fact. I wish it had a little bit more original design in terms of the cap. The other downside is that with this heavy brass cap, when you post it, and it doesn't post too far down, it becomes very top heavy. So not really a great pen, in my opinion, for using posted, at least not for very long. Okay, so those are my pros and cons for the Moonman T1 Vintage Brass fountain pen. Do you guys have this pen? Do you like this pen? Let me know in the comments section below. And if you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more fountain pen paper and ink videos, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much, and until next time.